Amigas.
Hi,
Hello.
Exciting.
We're finally back.
It had been a couple months, right?
Yeah, I think March or February was our last time.
Yes. We've been doing the Zoom calls and seeing each other through Zoom,
but this is exciting. I'm so happy that we get to meet up again and do this because it just feels like we can really chit-chat really how we're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Like we get more into it being close together.
Yeah, definitely.
That's true. How exciting. Everybody healthy and doing good?
Yeah, I think, this quarantine has been challenging for all of us, but I think that for some people, some good things happened. I moved out.
Yay.
Got my own place.
Congratulations.
I know, so it's been chaotic, but I think something positive out of this whole thing. Yeah. What about you guys?
I started a new diet, so losing weight, feeling healthy. I was feeling sluggish and just, eating like crap. So
good for you.
Getting on a good, healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, I was able to wake up like 3 times this week and work out like at 6 a.m. You guys know that's my biggest goal in life. But yeah, I think I've been able to take some courses. I've been able to kind of work on just marketing for my business. And
awesome.
So you've been productive on growing your business.
Yeah. Revamping your website.
That's
awesome.
So, I think we've had more time to do some of these things because life gets so chaotic and all over the place.
Right. And a little more savings.
Definitely.
A lot more savings.
Okay, so we're at the end of the book. We're going to start working on...
covering pages 141 to like 180.
Yes. So basically we're starting on chapter 10 and just going all the way to the end. We know some people are still reading, so...
They got their books a little bit late.
All right. So for me, right away, the first page of chapter 10, I got into it. So Gloria Steinem, I watch a lot of her interviews, but I've never read her books or stuff like that. And I was like, I want to start reading her stuff. It says, whoever has power takes over the noun and the norms, while the less powerful get an adjective. So basically we become professional women, not just professionals. Right?
There's always the title at the end.
But when it's a man, it's just professionals. Right?
The word female.
Yeah, I wanted to start looking into some. I haven't even seen videos of her or anything, but it did get me curious to look into some stuff of hers.
Yeah, I was looking at her website, and she did so many things for feminine rights.
I think I had also highlighted towards the bottom where you're at.
Yet the world has a way of reminding women that they are women and girls that they are girls. So that's that adjective where it's always oh, you are a woman. Don't forget, it's not a professional, it's a professional woman. So it kind of minimizes what we can accomplish, or it kind of questions what we can or can't do. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, it sucks because women are women and then girls are girls. It even starts as you're young, a girl,
Yeah.
Like a girl baseball player, not just a baseball player.
Didn't they call her, somebody asked her, are you a pom-pom girl?
Oh, yeah.
She was
that was horrible.
She was crushed,
How do you
And she was in high school, she had already seen it. They're no, idiot,
I'm more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where else? What did you highlight? I highlighted on the next page. Being called a feminist was to suspect that some foul empathic had been hurled your way. So it's true, right? I was listening to the radio the other day, and one of the broadcasters, she's like, well, I'm a feminist, but not really.
They're almost scared of it.
Yeah, right? And it's so funny because I'll use my son as an example. He's always you're an ultra feminist, and I'm no, you're a feminist. And when he was younger, now he says it, he's I am a feminist. But when he was younger, and I explained to him, I was do you believe in the equality of men and women? And he was well, yeah. And I was then you're a feminist. I was I believe women are better than men, so that's not a feminist.
We're superior.
Yeah,
we're not equal.
Yeah, we're not equal, we're superior. And he's so then now he'll say, he's I'm a feminist. You're a feminazi. You're extra. Feminazi. He's like, you're extra. But it's true, like a lot of times it's like, if you understand the definition of feminist, then you will acknowledge it. You're like, yeah, I'm a feminist. But when people hear feminist, they think of women like trying to fight men and fight the system, and women that believe the other thing is that when you
almost
are
like what you are, like you're superior.
Yeah.
Which is really not what
it's
feminist
not.
is.
And I tell them like a lot of people think like feminists don't believe in like norms, like women shouldn't be in the kitchen cleaning and cooking, and that's not what feminist means. Like feminist means if you want to cook and clean, that's what you should be doing. But if a man wants to cook and clean, that's what he should be doing.
Exactly.
Feminist is about fighting for the rights of people to have a choice.
Yeah.
You know?
So funny. I think last week I was moving like a big living room rug, and Albert wasn't home, and his dad was there, and I was like, oh, I'll help you load it to the truck. He goes, oh, no. Espérate que llegue Albert, and we'll do it. Like, you shouldn't be picking up this rug. It's heavy. I'm just like, okay, whatever. You know, only if he knew I've been moving it around with Albert myself, you know? And then Albert gets there, and we're doing a photo shoot for our girls, and then I told him, come on, help me. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, but unlike your dad, you know, he said I shouldn't be picking up a rug. So you should be doing it by yourself. You see, you should be doing it and give me some slack. And he goes, well, no, because I think that women can do anything a man can do. So no, you can do it. So get your ass up and do it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, he's right. Like, yeah, don't cut me some slack. It's fine. I could do it. So, you know, I was trying to be a little baby about it. But no, he's right. He's like, no, you guys can, women are completely equal as men, so you can pick it up. And I was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I think more men are feminists, but they don't know it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, like when a man
It's
is,
like they still think it's a bad.
they still have that negative connotation, and some people are like, oh, that's not feminism. And it's like, well, you know, being a feminist just means that you believe in equality. It doesn't mean anything else.
You could take over what a woman used to do before.
Yeah.
Like only before.
Yeah, if that's what you want to do, it's on you. And then she talks about the struggle of trying to get ahead while still trying to just fit in, right? What I didn't know at the time was that ignoring the issues is a classical survival technique. So saying, oh, I'm not a feminist, like that, I'm kind of a feminist, but not completely. Like that's your way of protecting yourself from being fired or from standing out or being judged or, you know, people saying, oh, she's too much. Like, oh, she's going to go off on a tangent or she's going to start talking about rights. And we say, like, it's such a bad thing. Like, this person's fighting for your rights. Like, how is that a bad thing? Yeah. You know?
And I mean, it's like a woman fighting for herself, but yet it's also, you know, if it's a dad, it's for your daughter. If you have daughters, it's for your mother. Like, come on, like, we're part of this world.
Yeah.
I think the word is just so strong, feminist, because you hear about, you know, people fighting and retaliating, and so people don't like that, and that's what makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah. And that's why it's a survival.
Exactly.
Like, I'll stay quiet. Like, you know, I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
You know, it's more about fitting in. Where else?
I highlighted on page 147 when you started doing some TED Talk shows with, who was it? I forgot with who she started joining to do these. But she said, the response to my TED Talk showed me that addressing these issues openly can make a difference. Women forwarded the video to their friends and colleagues, daughters and sisters. I began receiving emails and letters from women all over the world who wanted to share their stories of how they gained the courage to reach for more opportunities, sit at more tables, and believe more in themselves. So, yeah, like some people, like I say, they'll say I'm feminist, but not that much. But it's like, once you do own up to it, who knows whose door you're going to open up to, you know, see the reality of things and start standing up and, you know, leaning in to sit at these tables.
I liked how she said, and this is a little bit before the part that you read, how they told her at her work, like, so this is your thing now? Like, how she just...
Oh, yeah.
And
they wanted to start bashing her.
Yeah, like, oh, you're going to start doing your little talks now. Because she says she's been with this company already for 2 years, and all she did was rebuild their marketing. And then she started doing this whole thing just because that was her actual passion. And it reminded me of us because, at least for the book club, I know when I started telling people about the book club, they're like, this is your thing? Like, is this a hobby? Is this really, like, and I'm like, this is my passion. So this is my thing. Like, but it's not just a thing. It's more than that. So I feel like that's kind of something that I felt like I was in her shoes when they say, so this is your thing now. Like,
and it's like, this isn't my thing. Like, I do so many other things. This is just
because this one's standing out. Or I'm voicing it out right now. I mean,
or it's a 360 from other things that you normally do.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know. I feel like we can be more than just, oh, she speaks up for women. Like, that's part of it, but we're doing so many other things. And that's what she was saying. She's like, the one time I talk about women and their rights, everyone remembers. But I talk about marketing all the time. Like,
and nobody remembers that.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's so but it's like, it's so controversial. Like, how dare you talk about the issues? Like, how dare you tell us that we're oppressing you or that we're not being fair or like, like, no, you should continue to just fit in, keep your head down and not speak up,
it's almost like just people pick and choose to what they want to start, picking at you for.
And then this stood out to me, staying quiet and fitting in may have been all the first generation of women who entered corporate America could do. In some cases, it might still be the safe path, but this strategy is not paying off for women as a group. Instead, we need to speak out, identify the barriers that are holding women back, and find solutions. So that's true, right? Like, yeah, there was a time in our history where if women spoke up, it would get them fired. It would put them back at like a lower position, right? It's 2020 and women have only been able to vote for the past 100 years. Women they weren't even allowed to own land until like early 1900s when everyone had been owning land since like 1800s. And it's like, that's crazy. For like 100 years, men were able to do all this stuff, and we weren't. And so, yeah, it makes sense that, people didn't speak up for a really long time because they were trying to protect themselves, right? Like, I don't want to lose my job. But in our generation, and she says it too at one point, that as you get higher paying jobs, you're more likely to speak up because you're not risking it all, You're not like, oh shit, what if I lose my job? It's like, well, I'm the CEO. Like, if I lose this job, I can get any other one.
Right.
And that's why she says that the people at the top should fight because the women at the bottom can't.
So you should try to help them.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember that one lady from Dubai that saw one of her talks and that reached out to her and they didn't even have restrooms for women in their building? That's crazy.
Because according to them, women would never be in that position.
And this wasn't like a lot of years ago. It's just like, wow, it makes you wonder how, women are suffering and how there's no equality in other countries.
Yeah.
They're still far behind than what we are.
Yeah. And I think the more we progress, the more they progress.
Yeah. They're just following behind, which is awesome,
Major changes can result from these nudges. Nudge techniques, small interventions that encourage people to have a slightly different way of ways at critical moments. The simple act of talking openly about behavioral patterns makes subconscious conscious. So like, we're like educating people, right? Because like, if you're in a building and everyone's a man, why would you think to put a woman's restroom? Right? Maybe they're not trying to oppress you. Maybe they're just that like oblivious. And the simple fact of saying, hey, women need restrooms. If you don't say that, and then they're like, oh shoot, you're right, women need restrooms. We should probably build one of those, right? Like, you're just nudging them in the right direction because they're not even aware. They don't even know.
So it's not like they're fighting against it and like, no women restrooms here. It's just like, they're not even thinking about it.
That's how out of it they are. Like,
And she spoke up. You know, it's all about speaking up.
And getting the pregnancy parking over there for Google as well.
Oh, right,
That was
yeah.
awesome.
and that's like she was saying at the end, she's like, that parking's still there and I'm gone. So it's not about me. It's about the women that need the help, you know?
Yeah.
And she even said it. The funny part is she's like, before I got pregnant, I never thought about it. Like, why would we do pregnant parking?
Yeah.
Like, I was oblivious to it. Being a woman, obviously these men aren't going to think about it.
Yeah.
You know? So sometimes it's not so much that, you know, that they're purposefully doing this, but just the ignorance.
And trust me, as a pregnant woman, you enjoy those parking spots.
Yeah, because when you're
Or like-
waddling from all the way
Yeah.
across the parking lot,
You get
forget
so
it.
excited, like, yes, I could use this parking and it's available.
Okay. Where are we at?
I highlighted another on page 154. At the bottom, I knew that whether this would work depended on two men. So first I asked my husband if I could step in and take on more of the responsibility for the kids. He said, of course, it's your turn. So this was the part where her friend Cynthia hadn't been working, I think, for like 10 years. She had been a stay-at-home mom. And the vice president called her because he was going to start going for office. And he asked her to come back, and she was like, well, I have no idea. I don't even have business clothes anymore. I only own yoga pants. So she was like, but, you know, I it would be nice to go back. My kids are grown already. And she just kind of leaned in and went for it to just ask these two men, which was her husband, for the help. And then after I then told the vice president-elect that I really wanted to have dinner with my kids most nights. And his response was, well, you have a phone and I can call you when I need you after dinner time. I mean, just ask.
Yeah.
Voice it out. Like, the husband was in and the vice president was in. It's just, they made it work, you know?
Yeah. So on my book, it's 150, but I don't know, probably you guys, it's like 152. So, okay, so we talk about, like, what's the problem with the word feminist? And she talks about it here because, so do you guys remember the section where that female wanted a higher position? So she says that, so she was speaking her truth. So what did she say? Okay, so when this female kicked off negotiations by insisting that she should have a higher title and was under-leveled because she was a woman, it immediately put him on the defense. She was speaking her truth, but in this case, her truth was an accusation with legal ramifications. So because she came at him and said, well, the only reason you haven't given me a promotion is because I'm a woman. Right? In that moment, it's true. Like, he had to call HR because he was like, shit, I can get sued. Right? And so she says that's how people picture feminists. Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, because I'm a woman.
They're ready to fight. They're ready to start, you know, suing you or trying to just cause problems.
Yeah, and so she says, if you know, in order to speak this truth, it might have served her better to explain how she was contributing to the company and ask for the promotion first, right? Instead of saying you're like oppressing me, saying, look, this is like, and she talks about it earlier in the book too, like, hey, this is what I've accomplished, and you know, this is what I can bring to the company. This is why I deserve the promotion, right? Instead of leading with, I'm a woman, you shouldn't discriminate against me.
Yeah.
Like, wait, no one was discriminating.
Yeah, why
like,
would you even go there?
Yeah. So I think that, and that's why people stay away from the word feminist, right?
Yeah, it went really fast these last two chapters, but I think it touched base on things that we have talked about before. But I did like the fact that, just continue to voice out, you know, what you want. If you don't voice it out, nobody knows. That's the change that you want, the change that you need, or that the company needs and doesn't have it.
Yeah. Did you highlight anything else, Amiga? For this chapter? Should we go to the next one?
Yeah.
All right, I put a bunch of stars on something. that might be important.
Oh, before chapter 10 ends, is talking about the feminist. Yet, when offered a more specific definition of feminism, a feminist is someone who believes in social, political, and economic equality of the sexes. The percentage of women who agree rises to 65%. That's a big move in the right direction.
Yeah, so once you define it, then people are like, "Oh yeah, I am a feminist."
Right,
So
you want to join it. Like,
yeah, that was
I
my
believe all of that.
that was my son. He's like, "Oh, I am a feminist,"
Yeah.
but you're not. I'm like, okay. I circled. Leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that the impact lasts in your absence. They held students responsible for the impact their behavior had on others. Oh, so at a college, they told them if you act these are the standards for leadership, and if you act outside of that, then you're gonna get in trouble. And they held the same standards for men and women. And so when they did that, they really created like an impact and awareness, like the way men and women carried themselves. So it wasn't men or women. And so I thought that was really cool because a lot of times we set standards, but we don't measure them.
Yeah. On chapter 11 on page 160, so it starts touching base on, let me just read this and we'll get into it. But men need to support women, and I wish it went without saying women need to support women too.
Ooh, I underlined that too.
That hit home because we've all had, some catty,
Non-supportive
some
woman.
catty women.
There are some women that are...
It sucks. It sucks because you openly want to just be like friends and like, hey girl, let me help you, or you look good today. But you just sense it right away. They're already giving you the look and, standing offish. And it's just like, then, I'm not going to let myself either. Then I'll be catty back too. Mm-hmm. But it's like sometimes you don't even go into the room wanting to be like that. Mm-hmm. And they'll just make you into one.
And then it's so that one was funny because it brought me back to when Hillary was running for president. Mm-hmm. And women were being asked, right, like, you're a woman, you wouldn't vote for her. And they're like, well, just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I'm gonna support her. And I thought to myself, dude, men, they don't care. They'll tell you straight out, oh, I'm gonna vote for him because he's a man.
Mm-hmm. No straight out say that.
Yeah, like they support each other like that. And women are like, well, she's too emotional. Yeah. And you're like, you're talking about a woman, like you're emotional, and it's just like some women were saying like, oh, I don't know if women should be president because we can get emotional. And I was like, are you hearing yourself? Like you should be the biggest supporter of this moment. Like, and women are just sometimes, and like she talks about it for survival, right? Like if I throw this woman under the bus, then I'll get ahead because not all women will be able to get that position.
Yeah, and it's like, no, maybe I can help more women to join me. It talks about, I'm not sure if it was like a woman in the force. I don't remember what.
Oh yeah, so she went out for the Navy.
The Navy, okay, I couldn't
remember.
And
she went out for the Navy, and the Army wives were the ones that were being really mean to her. And then to top it off, they were mean to her husband because he was supportive of her, and because. Or then like the woman Marissa who becomes the CEO, and she's like about to give birth. She's so pregnant. She's like, oh, I'll be back working in 2 weeks. Yeah. And all the people that were bashing her were women. Mm-hmm. And it's true what she said. She's like, no one thought that maybe she had a husband that could take care of the baby.
Yeah. It's like, damn if you do and damn if you don't, right?
Yeah.
Take time off and it's bad. You take too little time and you're a bad mom. It's like, come on.
Research suggests that once a woman achieves success, particularly in a gender-biased context, her capacity to see gender discrimination is reduced. Well, okay, so there she's talking about how sad because as a woman gets on top, and you hear it a lot too, like, well, I got to the top, so she should be able to do it too. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, just because you got to the top already doesn't mean that all these things don't exist, you know? You should still be helping women.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's like all women should want all women to win.
Succeed, yeah. And, I posted an Instagram story reminding everyone, that experiment at the beginning. You know, a man's driving in his car, gets into a car accident with his son.
That was a good one.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I guess
the
so,
doctor
right?
says I can't do surgery on my child, and it was like, like how are we so like
Automatically
Automatic.
to just label it as a man. Like you have to say a woman doctor.
Yeah, you don't forget the
The
adjective.
woman doctor says she can't perform on her son.
Yeah. So again, so at the end, she says, all of this brings me back to Liam Gowie's insistence that we need more women in power. So the more women we get in power, the more we'll be able to pull each other up and really get to those positions where these inequalities start reducing for real, right? And we'll have 50% of the population and 50% of the population all doing the work. So like she says, she wrote this book to make sure that, you know, her children had the right to choose to do whatever it is that they wanted to do.
If the boy wanted to be a stay-at-home dad, it was okay. He wouldn't be judged and he'd be respected. And the same for the daughter. You know, if she wanted to get a job that's not known for women to get, she would also be respected for getting that and choosing that.
And hopefully, you know, the more women get to the top, when we say doctor, we'll know that it could be a woman.
Both. Yeah. Here's our last good highlight that I did. Our job is not to make young women grateful. It is to make them ungrateful so they keep going. We need to be grateful for what we have, but dissatisfied with the status quo.
Yeah. It's the only way we keep fighting, because that's what she's saying. You know, when you get to the top and you're no longer angry about the injustice, then you don't fight for the people at the bottom who can't fight for themselves. When you finally get to that position where you can make a difference, you should.
And that brings us to the reason why we started this book club.
Yes.
Women empowerment.
Women empowerment.
Yeah, I think, you know, we motivate each other all the time. Like, Navy, get that new job. Vero, get that promotion. Jessica, start your business. Like, we always just push each other to that next level.
Yeah, to ask.
Yeah, and we started reading, and we were doing it for the same reason, to continue empowering each other. And that's why we started Read Amigas.
And get feedback from each other. I mean, it's never bad to get feedback from someone else, and especially another woman. Like, why not? You know, somebody has probably walked in your shoes than you. So
yeah, and I think it's important on how we can all have friends, right? But you have those friends that are selectively empowering. And I think that we are grateful to have each other, because I know I have other friends that don't tell me to say, hey, you could do better. You know, we're over here dealing with our personal issues, not knowing what's right or wrong, or overthinking the scenario. And so I'm grateful for you guys, because I'll tell you what the scenario is, and you guys know what to say. Like, stay positive, look forward to it. It's going to get better. You can do it. You can do it. Like, the sky's the limit. And not everybody does that.
No,
not
at the end, at the end, that she did talk about that there was a group of women that go out to lunch, and then they sit around and they cheer each other on. And she's like, unfortunately, we don't all have that.
Exactly.
And I think the beauty of something like Read Amigas is that, right?
Yeah.
We are here to tell everyone, if you don't have those friends, we'll be those friends. You know, we'll be that amiga that's going to tell you.
Hear you out and cheer you on, push you through.
Right.
All right, so stay tuned for the new book. You know, our brunch will probably not happen, because we're trying to keep, you know, small groups.
We're 3, another Zoom brunch.
Yeah, another Zoom brunch. You know, we're still trying to do the social distancing. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah.
Even though some places are going through phases
They are.
2 and 3, but better safe than sorry.
Yeah,
For
so,
everyone's sake.
Yeah.
all right.
Thanks.
Thanks, amiga.
Thank you.
Bye, amiga.